Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Madison County Board of Education, July 24, 2018, regular session now called to order. Please join me in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all the opportunities you give us to serve. And I pray that this evening as we do that, keep our hearts and our minds in the proper place and be Christ-like in Jesus' name.
Amen. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Summer is officially over, right? For everybody. So I hope you had great vacations. We have our teachers are back, and they came back yesterday and today. And I saw Ms. Stowe. I saw you on Twitter.
Oh, yes.
Visiting a few.
I didn't tweet it out, though. Make sure everybody knows that. Because I don't tweet.
Our folks are hard at work.
You don't
Our
twit?
institute is next Tuesday, July 31st, so I want to make sure you guys know you're invited, and we'd love to have you there. And we'll be at the BBC auditorium for that. And August 1st is the first day back for students. I know that seems really, really early. I looked back at our calendar last year. Last year we started back August 2nd. But we'll be looking at another calendar here coming up for you guys for approval later on. But we are the first back in the state, and there's a host of schools coming back the second, some the third, and then the next week. Florida folks.
What time is that?
Next Monday.
What time is that thing on the 31st?
Institute.
8:30, is that right?
Yes, 8:30.
The pre-show starts at 8. We got one of our student musicians will be performing, instead of kind of stock canned music, we'll have a student performing some guitar and vocals there for entertainment as the teachers get there early and come in. So looking forward to that. One of our Spartan students. Looking forward to that. So it's so look forward to you guys being there and getting back strong. Every kid that I have talked to, and I'm going to ask, are you ready to come back to school? Every one of them has said yes, except for my own. Other than that, every other one of them, they're kind of ready. So looking forward to getting back. All right, I recommend approval for July 24th, 2018.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion or question regarding the agenda? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to be recommending approval of the minutes for April. That's April 12th, 23rd, 24th, and May 8th, 17th, and June the 7th and the 21st.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, question, or altering?
Hey, Matt, can you just kind of go through the process of how the minutes are approved? Because I've had several queries as to, we're 3 months, 4 months behind on posting the minutes into the
Yeah,
website.
so we try to stay within about a month and a half in there, and Priscilla goes back and reviews. We started doing minutes a little bit differently about 2 years ago. It was Cindy's, and Marcia basically ran through and did the minutes. We kind of trying to transition out. Cindy's focused on other things, and so Priscilla goes through kind of scripts, goes through the video, and then I go back and review them, and we try to get them to the board for you. One of the reasons on the April, we didn't want to approve them last meeting because there were, that only 3 board members then. And the time before, I think on June the 7th, it would have been short notice, and I want to give you guys a little bit longer to look at that. So May got pretty busy, and it took me a little bit longer to get to reviewing the April minutes. So we kind of got backlogged a little bit with it being the end of the school year.
It's easier for me if they're here quicker, so I
Yeah.
can remember exactly what did happen, and I don't have to call y'all.
Yeah, and they're all on YouTube. Ms. Stowe can get you an account set up.
We know
Yeah,
that.
right, yeah. I can get on that.
Well, most of them are on YouTube. There was our June 21st meeting was not, but.
I learned how to repair my toilet on YouTube, so yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, we'll try to, we
You're hired.
usually are better at keeping those little
Thanks.
quicker turnaround.
Well, and we're posting them, right?
Mhm.
Yes,
So-
on our website.
So that's another reason.
That's all I
Any
have.
further question, discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, Ms. Robin Lakey with our State Examiner's Office is here for our audit review.
Right. In accordance with the provisions of Acts of Alabama, Act 2006-196, which is called the School Fiscal Accountability Act, I'm here to present the Madison County Board of Education Audit Report for the period October 1st, 2016 through September 30th, 2017. Our actual report can be found on the Examiners of Public Accounts website, which is www.examiners.alabama.gov, and every board member should have received a copy either electronically or via email. We conducted our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and governmental auditing standards for the purpose of rendering an opinion on the board's financial statements and to determine whether the board complied with applicable laws and regulations. We also audited the board's federal financial assistance in accordance with the uniform guidance. We issued an unmodified opinion, which means that your financial statements are fairly presented and can be relied upon. And we also noted no matters that indicated that the board had not complied in all material respects with applicable laws and regulations. We also issued an unmodified opinion on the board's major federal financial assistance program, and for this audit, the board's major federal financial assistance program that we audited was the Child Nutrition Cluster. So in short, y'all did a great job. So, any questions?
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming. Thank you, Ms. O'Bannon, and your staff, some of which are here.
Thank you, Ms. Lakey. All right, one of our focuses that we began last year, and we're really growing the emphasis this year, doubling down, is on professional learning communities. This is really the approach we want to take, the philosophy that we want to adopt. So it's not really a program, it's more of a way that we want to operate. And we've had a lot of folks go to conferences, spend a lot of time with professional development on this week. And wanted you to get kind of an idea of where we're going and with this, and really kind of want you to be a part of this process. So if you got questions, you can feel free to kind of jot them down and ask Tim, throughout this
I will
presentation.
answer every question before the end of this
fire away.
presentation, so there you go. No, kind of maybe as possibly a good starting point for this presentation is kind of have to turn the clock back about 14 months in Alabama. So think about end of the previous school year, spring of 17, and kind of think about where we were as a state at that time, going through a lot of transition in the state superintendency and a lot of just unrest, turmoil about the direction of public education in Alabama. And I think because of that, talking with Mr. Massey and Dr. Minsky, it was, sort of the attitude was, we're Madison County. It really doesn't, it shouldn't matter what's going on in Montgomery as to, we need to lead this ship. We don't just need to be a passenger on it. And so what we've done in Madison County for, my 31 years here, I feel like we've done as well as we can possibly do with how we've done business in our district. And so we sort of had the conversation of what do we need to do differently? What do we need to look at to help really take Madison County to another level, to sort of distance ourselves from the crowd, you might say, in a positive way. So in looking back, part of this was looking back over our advanced ed review. Some of it was just based on good information or good research that we were aware of. We kind of came to the realization that why don't we need to take a look at professional learning communities. And so Dr. Minsky and Mr. Massey and myself, we went to a Professional Learning Community Institute because really wanted to make sure, as the district leadership, as superintendent and at that time chief of staff, really wanted to make sure we were committed at the very top because I knew this was going to be a pretty significant paradigm shift for our district. And after day one, kind of had a conversation about it. By day 3 of the conference, to paraphrase, it was absolutely, this is the direction that we need to go as a school system. So felt very empowered to move ahead in trying to lead this effort from an instructional point of view, and really appreciate that support. We've talked at times, and I know some of you have attended some of the various and sundry trainings that we've had over the last year, and you probably have some idea of what we're going to be talking about today. But just really feel like it's important that everybody has a good understanding of what it is we're asking our teachers to do, the change in philosophy that we're asking our schools to make, and hopefully we can accomplish that here this evening. So I think a good place to start is, what is a professional learning community? Now, we love our acronyms in public education, and so PLC is a new one that we're adding to our lexicon, I guess you might say. But maybe in thinking about what is a PLC, it's really important to think about what it's not. So in the education world, when our teachers and administrators, and a lot of them have heard this, have seen this acronym over the years, and they feel like they know what it is. And in their mind, they're not necessarily wrong, but it doesn't necessarily meet our definition of what a professional learning community is. So a lot of them are going to think it's a meeting. And those of us in education, we've heard it for years, teachers meet to talk about a topic of whatever nature, and they think they're having a professional learning community because they're meeting to talk about a common idea. A program, this is not a program, this is a process, and we'll talk about the components of that process. Some think it's a book study. It's not a book study. If we hear our teachers and our schools talking about, we had a PLC, if they use it in that context, they're really not, they don't understand it. They're not doing the right work. So what is it? Okay? And in that definition there, you can read that. There's sort of 3 words to me that are 3 phrases that really stand out. One is collaborative. If teachers are not working together, they're not doing the right work of a professional learning community. They're collaborating and they're being interdependent in how they collaborate. So one has to rely on the work of the other to do their job well, okay? And then they're being mutually accountable. So whatever the results are they're getting, they're all owning it. If it's a grade level, if it's a content area, it doesn't matter. They're owning that information as a group instead of looking at each individual teacher, whether or not they're successful. So why professional learning community? So the first bullet there, it provides a framework through which systemic processes can be developed in all schools. If you think back to January 2016, our Advanced Ed Review Committee came in and they left us with this now pretty common phrase. All of you have heard this over the last few years, but basically said, we're functioning, we're currently functioning as a system of schools instead of a school system. You need some common processes and practices through your district to kind of bind you together. And we know, those of us that have been in Madison County for a while, and certainly you as a school board, you understand we have 5 somewhat different districts within our school district, okay? So finding a process that works, that kind of fits the need of all of those areas and stuff, I think that's what we've been looking for, and I think that's what we found. If you had a chance to look at our strategic plan, Goal 1.2 under Skills and Curriculum, that is all about professional learning communities, okay? So it is a major component of our strategic plan for our district for the next 5 years to implement this. And I think this will help increase the systemicness of this process. So the second thing, it's a research-based framework. We don't want to do something that doesn't have sound backing that it's effective. As non-educators, you may or may not be familiar with the work of John Hattie, but in the education world, he's the man, okay? When it comes to educational research, he's the guy that you look to that has done the heavy lifting to really dig into what is effective, what moves the needle for students, for student learning and education, and what doesn't. And so when John Hattie says, he uses the phrase the best way, not a good way, not one of the best ways, but the best way to improve schools is to do professional learning communities. That gets my attention, and that gets the attention of most educators. And reading through his kind of definition, what leads him to that, you'll see a lot of the terminology that we'll talk about in a minute. Other research here, again, creating a collaborative culture is the single most important research-based factor in successful school improvement. And that's what we're talking about, is making our schools better, increasing student achievement. And then the last one, and I think possibly it's the most important for us, again, we have very different communities within Madison County, but they all make up Madison County schools. So finding something that fits our DNA, I thought was really important, and I do feel like Professional Learning Communities does that. The things that we're asking our schools to do as a collective process, it's going to be challenging for us to do it. But our schools are doing individual parts of this process already. So it's not like all of it is foreign to what they're currently doing. And I really think it fits our belief system. A little over a year ago, July the 19th, we had our first training with our administrators on this process, and some of you were able to attend a portion of that day. At various times when we'd have breaks during the day, it felt like every administrator in the room said, yes, this is it. This is what we need to be doing. It resonated with everybody in the room, and I think it did because I feel like they felt like it fit their ideology in best practice in our school. So just a few things to point out. These are kind of the three big parts of a professional learning community, I think, as a leadership body you need to understand. But over the last year, we've spent 12 months really heavily indoctrinating our leadership in the mindset of what a professional learning community is, trying to gain a shared language and a shared understanding of what this process is all about. And during those 12 months, we've asked our schools to meet with their faculties and really think about what their mission, vision, values, and goals are, so that they can start having conversations about what they believe, okay? So they've kind of spent a year talking about what do they believe in? What are, at least verbally, what are they willing to commit to doing as a school? And now this year, it's about the doing, okay? We've had a year to talk about it. Now it's time to put it into practice. And what we're talking about practicing are these three big ideas here: ensuring student learning, working collaboratively, and a focus on results. Everything that we do instructionally as a school district kind of wraps around these three big ideas here. And you look at that first block there, ensure student learning. It's not focus on it. It's not we hope that it happens. It is ensure, and that means it happens. Learning at high levels, all right? That's where we're focused on going, okay? And defining high levels is working at grade level or above, all right? Immediately, we have people think, okay, we have students that, whether it's special needs, whatever, they have grade level standards. Every student in this district has grade level standards that are designed to work at their level, okay? And we expect them to work at grade level or above, and that's a key component of this. Again, working collaboratively, really, I mean, it's the process that holds all this together. And then lastly, it's focusing on results. This is a results-oriented process, okay? Everything that we do, it ends in a result. And the result matters as to whether or not we continue to do that work or not. These 4 critical questions, you know, this is what, when I talk with our teachers, when I encourage our administrators to talk with their teachers, this is what they have to know. And they have to think about every day when they plan lessons, when they work together to provide instruction for our students is, number one, what do we want our students to know? How will we know when they know it? What will we do if they don't know it? And what are we going to do if they've already mastered it? Really answering those 4 simple questions. You know, this is simple, but it's not easy. Okay? The work of answering those 4 questions is very difficult work. So this is going to be a challenge, but it's one that I think our folks are up to and certainly can achieve. I shared this with our new teachers the other day, and I've shared this with our administrators in our district and several other groups, but if this picture doesn't resonate with you, this is a picture of a lottery, okay? This is our current reality, all right? As in public education, not just in Madison County, but really public education across the nation, all right? It's a lottery. Depending on which teacher the child gets placed with, the results are directly associated with the impact that teacher has, okay? And I say that, and I was telling our new teachers about this the other day, I say that, and that is in absolutely no way a criticism that teacher A, because they're more effective than teacher B, it's not a criticism of teacher B. The system that we've developed where we almost expect teachers to work in isolation, we've set them up to create differences between classrooms. And we've got to change our practices to eliminate that. What if teacher A and teacher B collaborate on every lesson that they do? What if they develop common assessments together that are assessing in the same manner and are expecting the same level of mastery for students in both classrooms? How quickly can that separation in achievement from both of those rooms be negligible, okay? We know there is an art to teaching. Those of us who have done it, there are parts of it that your personality are going to influence, and those are things that we can't control. But we can control, we should be able to have control over the standards that are emphasized, the way they're assessed, and what mastery looks like. And then, what happens if kids don't master it, and what happens if kids do master it? That's where we are right now, and that's just kind of a cold, hard slap in the face right as we start school, that we're not perfect, okay? But I do feel like the implementation of this process can put us on a road to tremendous improvement. I asked our principals, if you read this vision, I gave it to them as a promise. I said, if you stood in front of the parents at your orientation night or back to school night, whatever you want to call it, take a minute and read that. I asked our principal, I said, can you make that promise to everybody and mean it? Not can you just say it, but can you mean it? And I don't think I had any takers. So this now becomes our vision. This is where we're trying to get. We can stand up in any of our schools, and we can stand before any group of our parents And we can make this promise to them that it does not matter who your child's teacher is. They will receive a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And if they don't understand it, they're going to have a pathway to get to have intervention, or if they've mastered it, we want to do something to enrich them. I think that's our moral imperative as educators, that that's what we should be doing, working to do every single day. And as the superintendent, as the Board of Education, I feel like if we're working together to achieve that vision, there have been precious few things in Madison County when we really set our mind to it that we've not been able to achieve. And I think this is a worthwhile vision for us to set forward with, and we're already in the process of doing that. So I hope that that's something that you can get behind and help reinforce within our schools. We do over the next 2 days, on the 25th and 26th, we have a couple of professional learning community trainings at the Jackson Center. They're from 8 to 3 both days. Tomorrow will be grades 4 through 6. On the 26th, it'll be our secondary math and ELA teachers. We will have additional trainings to get, we've got a couple of groups just because of size and money and all those things. Kind of have to limit how many we can put in each session, but we'll be continuing these types of things hopefully over the next several years, because this is not something there's an end to, okay? This is something we'll continually be getting better at doing. And if you're in the area of Hudson Alpha, the Jackson Center, you want to stop in and spend a few minutes, or you want to spend the day with us, you're more than welcome to do that. We have a seat for you. And so with that, any questions?
You were correct.
Good. Thank
Well
you.
done. Thank you for the information, Mr. Thomas.
It's funny, right before the, 5 minutes before we gavelled in, I had a text from an acquaintance that sent me a screenshot of their kid's schedule going, hey, are these teachers okay? Do I need to go try to change their schedule? And so that I was doing an interview with the reporter, and we're talking about this as our kind of our focus, and the reporter asked, said, how are parents, will they be able to tell the difference? And kind of my end goal would be, well, hopefully they will understand it doesn't matter what teacher they're going to be assigned to. That vision that we have, that is what will be the difference, that they can rest assured that no matter who their kid has or what school they're in, that it will, they're going to receive the high quality thing. So it's a
Kind of a changing of a culture, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
And it probably won't happen overnight.
It didn't
Just
get
so you don't-
created overnight, so it won't happen overnight.
But I think it sounds good.
I think the fact that we tried to be very proactive in how we trained our leadership in this, and been very diligent and, trying to train multiple levels of it, I think that gives us a really good opportunity to get where we go.
Is your leadership principals, are they excited about this new process and PLC?
I would say, generally speaking, yes. I don't think there's anyone who is like, no, this is. I feel very confident saying that there's not any that's like, no, this is the wrong way to go. It would be hard to look at that and think,
Right.
that's not what we should be doing.
Right.
Okay? So they get that. But again, this work is not easy work. I mean,
Right.
there's going to be, it's going to take a commitment, not just buy-in, not just saying I agree with this, but really a commitment to making some pretty significant changes in practices and stuff. And so it will take time to do that. But I think by and large, our people are committed to do that. So.
Is
Well,
the-
I know the principals who went to Atlanta, the ones that I talked to, they came back very excited about the process. And, one of the constraints I think you'll see, especially in elementary school, will be the time to allow these people to collaborate with one another. And, we have to be willing to. But I will say, it's been several years ago, when Donna Good was at Owens Crossroads and they did their Friday release time, I've never seen teachers, even though at end of a work week, so excited about the things they were collaborating together to try to do something different for their children. So, I'm excited about it, so.
I'm excited.
I'm sorry, interrupted.
No, I was going to say, is the training on tomorrow and Thursday, is that train the trainer training, or are you bringing all the teachers in to work? Okay.
That were in those.
In those areas, 4 through 6 and math.
All right, so it's exciting work that we're doing.
Well, it is, and it's great
Yeah.
to hear something, so instruction-centered. It's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Excited.
And I think the thing that our principals are realizing, they've got to be the active leader in that process. And that's the thing that we've said, this is not going to work. The principal can't just designate someone to ensure
Right.
that this happens. So,
You're right.
but they all, I think, are on board and thinking this. In fact, when we kind of rolled this out to principals last year, they were ready to do it right now. And we're like, well, there's kind of
Build up.
a process to it. Let's just get it right, take our time with it, but now we're going to be ready to, it's exciting to be able to do our general professional development with that, with
Yeah.
the teachers there, so.
Absolutely.
All right. Are you guys ready for administrative actions? Okay.
Sure.
I recommend approval of financial statement, payments of bills, and cash reports for May and June of 2018.
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I recommend approval of the financial guide update as attached.
Motion.
Sorry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any question? This is the one, correct, where we changed it to just say that whatever the state
Just going to answer that
age
question.
is.
No, this.
Can we increase the reimbursement
No, this
rate?
is- This is where you can eat more.
Right.
You can eat. Apparently.
Per diem.
That'll help me.
Well, Dave's wasting away, he needs that.
Oh, yes, I'll remember now. Thank you. Is there any further question or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, I recommend approval of the following bids as attached.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion regarding the bids?
I have a question about the bleachers. Is that will cover everything that we're replacing this year, or that's the bid price for that? Or is it for a specific place?
Yes, ma'am. Jenna put the bid up, great job on Ed. But she, because it's kind of a difficult bid, it has a lot of parts to it. But it includes all interior bleacher repairs, all exterior bleacher repairs, which is baseball, softball, and football, middle school and high school. And it also includes a inspection service per year in that price. We also have in that price to include Sparman High School, who has the worst set of bleachers currently, to do a little additional work on those bleachers. That's included in that price. And it's all on the breakdown there in the information. But this will get us where we need to be within guidelines of the code and laws. Bleachers.
So we're not going to have any more sagging bleachers. We're not going to have any more seats that look like a V instead of a,
That's our goal.
that's our goal. To rope off sections of the visitor section at Sparkman that says, "Do not sit here," because it's broken.
Yeah, we're hoping to take those roads down. And keep working with- That's our goal.
Is there any further discussion or question regarding the bids? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, I recommend approval of change item number 1 for Hazel Green Elementary School HVAC mechanical project.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any question or discussion?
Carrie, can you explain that
Yeah.
change order for us?
Read
What
this.
it-
Yes, sir. Basically what it is what the units that were currently there run off of a 30 amp breaker, number 10 wires. So we broke the breakers down to two 15 amp breakers, and it gives us surge protection. That way, what was built in previously didn't give us that opportunity. And so basically that's what we have now, and that's the reason we have to, got to pull new wires so it doesn't carry the load of the breaker. And that's what we end up with.
Are you doing option 1 or option
It's-
2 or both?
Option 1. Option 1.
So you're adding,
Any further question or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 It's a good tradesman here. I'm seeing their hourly rate. They make pretty good money doing what they do, no doubt.
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to have one quick comment. They have done a great job. We had the final, that building, y'all did a great job, because those children, when they come back, they will not recognize that building. We still have roofing, that'll be finishing up, but the majority of it's done. It's been a great, quick job.
That's
Really
awesome.
nice.
All right. I recommend approval of the deletion of surplus property as attached.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or question? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. I recommend approval of the loan request for Buckhorn High School band program.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Is it normal to get interest-free loans for?
This is an interfund loan.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's the 15,000 max.
Gotcha.
Mr. Markham called it that, but it's our interfund loan, and they're all interest-free, of course.
Gotcha.
And they don't have, this is the only one they'll have, right?
Yes, ma'am, they just paid off.
Okay.
That's fine.
Is there any further question or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I recommend approval of the loan request for New Hope High School band.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or question? Was that the New Hope band playing?
Probably.
They actually have a good band.
They do.
Mhm.
Their graduation. All right, hearing no question or discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, I recommend approval of the revisions, to the Madison County Board of Education Policy 611 for compulsory attendance and entrance aid.
Here you go, Angie.
This is the one.
This is the one.
All right. Do we have a motion?
Oh, motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is this the one where we changed it to fit what the state said, so that we don't have to change it every time?
Well, no.
No.
We decided that, we could have just said to comply with the state law, but
Yes, I
it.
thought that's what we were
with
saying.
that, we did talk about that, but we thought about it would require people, parents maybe to go look up state law. So we just, if the state law changes on it, we'll just need to bring it back and change it.
This way a parent can look in your book and they can see what it is versus if you say compulsory attendance as per the law of the state of Alabama, they gotta go figure out what
Gotcha.
state
So
law
we changed
says.
gears there. So to start kindergarten, you've got to be 5 before September 1.
And that's a state law, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
To start first grade, if you skip kindergarten, if you don't do kindergarten, you've got to turn 6 before December 31.
And that's the state.
Yes.
Those come, all of this comes out of state
It
statute.
could have changed from, it used to be August 1st, is that right?
They were both September.
Used to be October, a long time ago.
They had it actually different for city and county systems.
Yeah.
And it used to be where it 7, now it's down to 6 in the compulsory also, but the September one was for both those times, they've changed the 6th grade, or the 6-year-old one in December now.
What you're changing is what time you're going to look at meetings.
All right. Any
So
fur-
legally, a parent must have a child who is 6 years old by that December date, enrolled in some kind of educational program, even if it's not public school. Is that correct? They can opt out? Okay.
The seventh birthday. They're still taking the program, the seventh birthday.
Okay.
Enroll.
Thanks.
And this also means that we don't have the leeway to allow children to enter early, because that's a state law. So we can't, as a principal, you couldn't just say, oh, come on, and now let's just do that.
Right.
Okay.
Unless they come from another state.
Yeah, there's an earlier
Right.
enrollment if they've done
Already
kindergarten
enrolled.
somewhere else and
Mhm.
they can meet those other
Gotcha.
requirements.
Any further question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Recommend the approval of the 2019-20 school calendar.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or question? This
I'll-
is, go ahead.
Hey, I will say on the, we put the calendar on Facebook and we got an incredible response. I read every
We got
comment.
incredible
I think you
responses
said
in
you
email.
I read all, I think there's like 300, there's a lot.
There's a
Yeah.
lot. So, but one of the things that was brought up the most was the work day that we had on the Monday of Thanksgiving week. And so I kind of took that from Facebook, set up a poll. I shared it with you guys too, but gave it to employees to vote on. We had over 700 responses on that, and about 54% wanted to have it on July the 30th. So that's what this calendar has. So this will be 6 work days before students come back. The first day for students is August 7th. And again, starting school on a Wednesday has proved to be very good, to work very well for us. I think my first year before coming here, we started on a Monday, and that's a 5-day week for kids that aren't trying to get used to their new bedtime and get up early. The kids had a hard time recovering from that 5 days in a row. Teachers had a hard time. I mean, 'cause you got to get in teacher shape too, standing
Yeah.
up and talking. And so we want to start on Wednesdays every year. So with that, this year it was August 1 or August 8. For this calendar, it's going to be August 7th as the day, kind of shifts forward one day each year. But the teachers overwhelmingly supported that day on July 30th.
So where does this put us in line with Madison City and Huntsville? Are we on the mark with Huntsville and off the mark with Madison City?
Yes.
Madison hasn't adopted a calendar for
Yeah,
1920 yet,
okay.
but we're on the money with Huntsville for fall break, spring break, and pretty close to Christmas
I mean,
break.
based on this year's calendar, we're pretty next year we'll be close to Madison City because they start on the 4th.
Madison City doesn't have a meeting with us anymore, so all I can answer for is when I meet with Huntsville City.
Yeah.
So, but Huntsville City and us work very well together as far as trying to line the calendars as closely as possible.
A lot of people ask why we're doing spring break so late, and honestly, we did it to align with Huntsville, because they already had approved theirs. So it is a little bit later than we normally have it, but there's a lot of churches that will do mission trips, and they have congregations from those systems and all that, so but I think with us, honestly, that us and Huntsville going together in this is kind of leading the pack. Decatur has alluded to they want to get their systems kind of in line with what we're doing, and so
What about state testing?
it's a window, so
Is it
there's,
before spring break or after?
it's usually a 2-week window on that. We had one school that did state
After.
testing after that. They did it on the Take Your Child to Work Day this year. It worked out. They had their kids show.
It's your
show up.
favorite day, isn't it?
Everywhere else didn't have a good. or had a better turnout for taking the job or wherever.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that we took so much effort to get both parent and teacher input. If there's no further question or discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Recommend approval of the following contracts for services as attached.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any question or discussion?
Like number 9, do we still have federal grants that she's overseeing? Okay.
Any other question or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. I recommend approval of the following personnel items and the addendum as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion or question? Mr. Kubik, if you don't mind, how close are we to actually having everyone we need hired? You can give me kind of a ballpark. I don't need like exact, but are we?
We have about 40 positions still up.
Is that certified? Is that everybody?
That's both certified and supported.
Certified is, we're pretty good doing those. One of the new changes this year that we, SSA advocated for was, there was a 14-day posting time for teachers. So if a teacher would have left a week ago, that's got to be posted for 14 days. This is in the summer, so that changed to 7. So it's allowed for us to kind of catch up on a lot of those hirings. So like we got a couple gifted positions that are open that we're looking. There's not too many classroom positions that are still open. I mean, I would say we're about 98, 99% filled on classroom teaching positions.
Thank you.
Question, the number 1 on adjunct, is that a new class that we're doing at Hazelbrand? New course?
Is not a new class. We've done adjuncts, one of the before, and it is a new class, and the state kind of wavers back and forth if they support or certified or classified or certified position. What we had some schools that were able to adjunct primarily, well, it's got to be grades 7 through 12 by the state board made a resolution. New Hope and Madison County High School used adjuncts to kind of offer some different electives because they don't need a full-time Spanish teacher. So, so how can we offer more electives in those smaller schools? That's part of the equity piece, our strategic plan. And we said, hey, if this is good enough for Madison County, let's allow our principals to be creative. So we kind of set a budget, worked with Karen, what was essentially what would be a local teaching unit. We pretty much allotted a budget for each school to try to come up with the adjuncts to offer some different kind of courses. So we let principals kind of be creative with that. And obviously they have to go through and be approved in our instruction department. So this is probably not the last adjunct position that will come your way, depending on this will be with our middle schools and high schools. Is that right?
I had one of our high schools that finds somebody, so I think they'll be for a position that they have requested, so I know that one will come. They will have a position coming.
So sometimes these are retired teachers that are
Mhm.
certified that can come and teach a class or two, and sometimes they're not. I mean, our career tech, we've had jump forward folks last year to be able to increase the offerings there. And we can adjunct 4 people really for the price of 1 teacher, so you can, offer. I really think it's going to be kind of the next step in being able to offer some of the kind of maybe specialized classes.
Will they be able to fit into our professional learning collaboration if they're adjunct and come and go like that?
Most of those classes, they will truly be the only person possible in the district. So
They would collaborate within themselves.
Bruise on the inside.
That ought to work out well.
But, in all honesty, so we have some adjunct teachers at Career Tech, and so they're looking to have them collaborate around, like, reading informational materials. Every profession has to, has to be able to do that. So they're looking for common themes regardless if it's a welding class or a health sciences class, whatever, looking for things like that. So there can be.
Is there any further discussion or question? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, I recommend the approval of the following supplemental contracts as submitted.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion or question?
I'll say a new one on here that hasn't, I don't know how many years it's been on there, but you see a tennis coach at New Hope for boys. There will be a tennis coach for girls at the next board meeting, but it's going to be the first time that New Hope will be offering tennis in a lot of years.
Have we got a little court for them to play in?
Well, we're actually talking with the city. We'd like to kind of work with them to refurbish or freshen up that a little bit. So,
Right.
but I mean, there's tennis court issues. Hazel Green can't
Right.
practice on their courts. Madison County's is about, it
Well,
may
and New
fall
Hope
in a
doesn't
crevasse.
have one on campus, and I know they've used the cities, but it's in bad shape too.
It is not in good shape. They have the actual banners still on the city's tennis courts of like the New Hope Tennis Glory Days. They're,
Where's the closest tennis court to the city that New Hope used in the past?
It's up at the city
tennis
park.
court for New Hope.
Mhm.
It's on it's called Lime City Drive?
City Park.
but I don't,
whatever.
are those playable? Are they,
There's
City
a-
Park Road. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. He's the athletic administrator. He knows
I don't
about
know if you could
that.
actually
That's the name of it. I
host,
think.
I've never seen anybody playing tennis there. I'm not sure how playable those courts. I've walked
They're
on
not
those
good.
courts.
They need, they need.
Resurfacing and.
Yeah.
So we're talking with Commissioner Hill and the city there, and we'd love to do something to get, I think all three of us can put our heads together and do a little something, but there's we also, we'd love to be able to host those matches and have playable surfaces across the system.
Any further question or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, I recommend the board authorize Mary Stump to negotiate, enter in a resolution agreement, mediation agreement, settlement agreement, or a settlement agreement, special education complaint regarding special needs student.
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any question or discussion? Do you ever wish we'd say no? All those in favor? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, and we have 7 student transfers that I'm probably going to need an executive session to discuss those.
Motion to go into executive session?
Second.
A motion and a second to move into executive session in order to discuss student transfers. We're good with that? All right. All those in favor, any discussion further? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Where are we going?
Okay, so when we come back, we will vote on the transfers, and we will have a transfer hearing later, so anyone that is wanting to stay for that, we would love to have you later in the
Transfer
evening.
hearing in here. Transfer hearing's public.
Let's just do the executive session here. We'll give it a few minutes.
The transfer hearing.
Let's say, you know executive means private.
Right. So we'll do a little stretch break and then we'll have it here.